Good evening, Aussies. I'm a fourth generation Australian. I was born in the western suburb of Cottesloe and I was raised pretty traditional Australian family life, a very blessed life living here in Australia. But an event at the age of 10, my father died, and this caused great trauma to me. I became a very rebellious, very angry, very bitter young boy, and by the time of 15, I was using drugs, heroin and cocaine, and of course cannabis and other softer drugs. And so the drug problem that we face in this generation, we've faced in many generations. But by the time I was 22, I'd met my wife, and we were married in 1977. And by the time 4 or 5 years had gone by, my drug addiction and the way I was living my life, selfish, angry, violent person, drove my wife away, and she went home to live with her family, her parents. This created an absolute abyss in my life. It created a huge problem that I had no idea how to fix, to the point where I just curled up in bed for days at a time, and then Jesus Christ stepped into my life. He sent someone to tell me that God had a plan for my life, that God loved me, that God could deliver me and set me free from the sin and the drugs that were plaguing my life. I was a slave to sin and to drugs. I went to a church service. Now you have to understand, wild horses would never have been able to drag me into a church, but I was desperate to see my wife and children return. My wife came to that church service. We knelt down together at the end of the service at the altar, and we both gave our hearts to Jesus Christ. We wept. We were reunited in marriage. God delivered me that night from drugs and alcohol and violence, all manner of evil in my life. Demon powers left me. I stood up a new person. The Bible says that when we become Christians, old things pass away. Behold, all things become new. I became a new person. That was on the 21st of November, 1981. 35 years later, I'm rejoicing as a Christian. We have our 4 children have grown up as Christians. They have had, between the 4, my daughter and 3 sons, they've had 14 children. So we have the 5th and 6th generation of Australians. We live in an awesome country. Can you say amen? It's a privilege to be Australian. If you're here tonight and you're an old Australian like me, or an older Australian, or you're a new Australian, you've come to this country and you've become a nationalised Australian, we're here to celebrate the great Southland of the Holy Spirit in which we live, and what a blessing that Jesus Christ is the Lord of this country. Hallelujah.